Bill Watts, at that time, just ruled with fear. Obnoxious. Boss, I guess sometimes you can do that. I mean, there are lots of times I made him happy, lots of times I made him unhappy. My problem with Bill Watts is that he's a thief in all aspects. He'll steal from your mind, he'll steal from your pocket, he'll steal from his own family. Ask his children. Well, Bill, I can sit up here and point out where you had your office boys hold money out each week, take care of those expenses.
Bill Watts cut everybody's pay like in half. You know, he made guys take pay cuts, and he just came in there and just bulldozed everything. You know, nothing off the top rope. Couldn't jump off the top rope. Took the mats away. High school football or something where the coach just was like dogmatic on it. This is how it's going to be. You know, with no you had no say. You know, and he was very strict.
Bill Watts came to WCW with the idea in mind is we're going to cut costs into profitability.
Yes.
Yeah, he had no understanding of the revenue side of the business as it existed in the early 90s in cable television. It's not Bill's world, just like it wasn't Vern Gagne's world.
Right.
There's a lot of parallels between Vern Gagne and Bill Watts in some respects. Neither one of them understood or fully appreciated the opportunity that cable and pay-per-view provided until after somebody else did it. And I think when Bill Watts came into WCW, he didn't really know much about WCW. I don't think he understood the revenue model.
Bill takes me away from let's take a walk. And walking. We just keep walking and walking and walking away from the dressing room, away from Steve, but we're walking down these stairs into this band. I mean, we're down by these huge boilers in the basement. Like my first thought was like, is he going to bring me down there like shoot me or something? What did I do wrong? I mean, we're like in the bowels of the building, and we get all the way down there, and he said, "I got a very serious question to ask you. Can you get color without getting caught?" Now this is a Clash of Champions. This is an 8-camera shoot. And I went, oh, I don't know, man. I said, will I get fired? Hell yeah, we'll all get fired. I don't know, Bill. I said, that's, I don't know where I could go unless I climb under the ring or something. And he said, no, but I want you to think about Bill first. I said, can I smarten anybody up? He said, hell no, you all get fired. I said, if I don't smarten up Steamboat and he thinks I'm hard-weighed, he's liable to jump in and start beating people's asses. And he goes, okay, well then Ricky. And I said, can I smarten up Jackie? And again, he refused. I said, if I don't, he'll catch me, and then we'll both be on the line. He said, those two, nobody else. So I went, told Steamer. He was fine with it. Went and told Jackie, and Jackie said, hell no, it's my job. And I said, Jackie, can you give me anything? He said, I thought about it for a few minutes, and he came back and said, I'll give you to the count of 1,003. So now we're doing the match. I had on my finger and wearing white tights. And the damn blade had worked its way through the Band-Aid and cut my finger, so I'm bleeding. So Bill comes in. I hear him coming down the hall. Son of a bitch, where's that shame of that? It's fucking great. He comes around the corner, and he goes, let me take a look at that. So he's standing right here, and he's like looking at my head, and I'm taking my boots off. And all of a sudden, boom, knocks me back in the chair. And I come up out of the chair with my fists up going at him. Steamboat jumps in between us. He goes, what the fuck was that for? He goes, you guys have a promo at the end of the show. We had never told us. And Ricky looks at him and he goes, and he couldn't get it again? And just it's simple, right? They wanted to wrap my head and everything. I was pissed.
When things get this hot, there's just one way to beat the heat. WCW Beach Blast! The Iron Man challenge is on. Who can go the distance? Ricky, the Dragon Steamboat, or the totally ravishing Rick Rude? Then watch out, Gulf Coast, cause Cactus Jack is out to bag World Heavyweight Champion Sting. No ring can hold him. They're made in America, the Steiner brothers. But can they defend their World Tag Team title against Japanese sympathizers Terry Gordy and Dr. Death Steve Williams? And a beauty battle rages between Missy Hyatt and Medusa for the crown of First Lady of WCW. Get set for a sizzling slam fest. Buff bodies, bodacious babes, beating the heat. WCW Beach Blast, live Saturday, June 20th. Be there, only on pay-per-view.
Hey old school wrestling fans, welcome to this review of WCW Beach Blast 1992, the debut Beach Blast. It of course is the debut pay-per-view for Man of the People Bill Watts and his Reign of Terror. It took place on the 20th of June 1992 from Mobile, Alabama at the Mobile Civic Center. The attendance was a pretty measly 5,000. The buy rate though was 0.4, which amounts to about 86,908 buys, an improvement on Wrestle War but quite far below the opening pay-per-view of 92 Super Brawl. And the tagline, because I always like to do this, World Championship Wrestling beats the heat. Pretty lame, I know. Announcers for the evening, once again, Jesse the Body Ventura, Jim Ross, with co-hosts Tony Schiavone, Eric Bischoff, who were all decked out in beachwear. Yeah, they were really going for this beach theme. Now, we all know that Beach Blast eventually became Bash at the Beach, and it would lay host to some of WCW's most iconic moments.
Hulk Hogan's here! Hulk Hogan is in the building! You damn right he is! Go get him, Hulkster! Yeah, but whose side is he on? What are you talking about? Hook! What is he doing? Oh my God! Is he the third man? He's the third man! What the hell is going on?
You can call this the new world order of wrestling, brother. These two men right here came from a great big organization up north, and everybody was wondering who the third man was. Well, who knows more about that organization than me? And the reception I got when I came out here, you fans can stick it, brother.
But in its early days, it was known more for a cheesy bad movie and an exploding boat. We kick off the pay-per-view with the light heavyweight title match as reigning champion Flying Brian Pillman defends against the classic beach bum himself, Scotty the Flamingo, the former Scotty the Body. Yes, that's the light heavyweight title match. And as well as introducing his unorthodox rules into WCW, there were a couple of things that Bill Watts were very against, and one of them was the light heavyweight division, which felt like it was in its dying days after this show. Flamingo came to the ring looking like some off-kilter and wacky children's TV host. Not surprisingly, he also had his issues with Cowboy Bill Watts and was not long for WCW. The match starts with a feeling out process and some solid wrestling back and forth, including a waistlock and a hammerlock by Pillman, a nice bridge by Scotty, staying off the canvas, and in a choice spot we get a beautiful crucifix switched into a twisting sunset flip for a near fall from Pillman. They back into the corner, Flamingo's off target with a reverse elbow, but is on target with a gut shot, showing he's the more aggressive man at the start of the match. Pillman fires back with a nice leapfrog and a sharp hip toss out of the corner into a short arm scissors to get back on top of the mat. We get a Flamingo roll through with a handful of tights, which of course Jesse defends. Flamingo grabs the middle rope to get a reversal on Pillman, but the light heavyweight champion maintains contact on the arm, keeping control of it, and we get a beautiful tilt-a-whirl head scissors countered by Pillman. Flamingo hangs by his ankles on the apron before Pillman shoves them off, a crash landing for the heel, and Jesse is livid. This is followed up by a double axe handle off the apron by Pillman, a reverse chop showing his aggression. JR highlights and top rope moves are now banned as Pillman forgets and is launched off the top with a rough land on the rocket launcher for 2. Flamingo also gets 2 from a well-placed fist drop off the middle rope. Pillman catches Flamingo coming in with a nice crossbody from the outside in for a near fall. Flamingo gets back on top, slowing the pace down with a reverse chin lock and a bunch of wear down moves. The match gets a bit sloppy at this point as the two exchange brawling moves, including thumb to the eye and a rape to the face by Pillman. He also gets a sleeper hold on Flamingo with some comical selling on the chin breaker. Nice timing on a drop kick which catches Flamingo off the top rope. We then get a spinning karate kick by Pillman. Flamingo hits back with a nice power slam, catching his foe coming out of the corner. He grabs a handful of tights and very nearly steals the light heavyweight title. Pillman then catches Flamingo with a nice belly to back suplex off the top rope for a 2 count. Confident Pillman clotheslines Flamingo outside and then takes what is the chance of the match, a kamikaze-like maneuver as described by JR as he flies over the top rope but misses with the splash, hitting his head flesh on the ramp, and Flamingo then hits a weak looking knee off the middle rope for the 1-2-3 and the upset win, a new light heavyweight champion. A very solid start to the pay-per-view with a few sloppy moments, but a competitive match and a surprisingly clean finish. I'm going to give this one 2.5 stars. I have mixed feelings on the result. So Flamingo had been getting a reasonable size push by WCW in recent weeks, but also his gimmick is very cartoony and a little bit of a joke. Overall, Pillman had a lot of momentum, and this was a bit of a surprise way to end his second title reign. I'm not even sure Flamingo is really much of a light heavyweight, so I'm very mixed on this result and a bit disappointed that Pillman dropped the belt here. More on the future of Scotty Flamingo and the light heavyweight title in future reviews. As we get the first round of the night-long bikini contest, Jesse is miffed, then he's been passed over as MC for the flamboyant Johnny B. Bad. At one point Jesse questions if Bad even likes girls. Yeah, that line is dated well. Ross plugs the WCW hotline, claiming that fans can vote for the winner of the contest on there. Sounds like a scam to me. Bad really draws this out. As amusing as some of this stuff is, and it's a nice breather between some of the matches, it really doesn't need to be 3 rounds drawn out the whole night. Bad also plugs the 1-800 number. The first round is an evening gown match. Missy comes out in a smart looking diamond and white gown. Medusa goes more for the bad girl vibe, wearing a basic wedding gown and veil. With flowers in hand, she struts out and slaps the flowers back at Bad, shunning his excitement. The crowd naturally boo her. Bad then screws up his cue as he tries to throw back to Tony and Eric, but instead JR interrupts to plug the 1-800 number again. We then get more of a breather match as future WCW champion Ron Simmons takes on the Tailor-Made Man in a battle of former US Tag Team Champions. Before the match, Tony plugs them. Ron got the key to the city in Tallahassee, Florida earlier in the day. This is a very basic matchup. Taylor claims that there's a hair pull on a Simmons hip block out of the corner. A couple of 3-point stances barely connect with Taylor, who then shoves Simmons outside by his types, but then is caught in a gorilla press outside and chucked back inside the ring before being thrown outside onto the concrete floor. Taylor ducks a running shoulder block as Simmons hits the ramp hard once again. Back inside, Taylor hits a nice looking forward rolling neck snap, followed by a nice backbreaker for a 2 count. Simmons fires back with a standing spine buster, followed by a back body drop. There's a miscue on an attempted Taylor leapfrog, and Simmons polishes him off with a power slam off the ropes for the 3 count. I'll give this 1.5 stars. After the match, Simmons is interviewed by Jim Ross, and the All-American reinforces his underdog story and his ambitions to be WCW champion, telling the fans, just like me, you can be anything you want if you get off your ass and go out and do it. We then get another even more useless match as Marcus Bagwell faces off against Greg the Hammer Valentine. This is a really sloppy and flat match played before a dead crowd. Bagwell is still too green, Valentine past his prime, and it makes for an awkward combination. Valentine telegraphs a middle rope elbow drop, missing the target, but the rookie is also off target with a running knee drop. This softening up the leg as Valentine goes for figure 4 leg drops on a couple of occasions. We get short fight backs from Bagwell, who gets a couple of near falls from a roll up and a backslide, but eventually his knee just gives out on him and Valentine gets the simple submission win with the figure 4 leg lock. So I guess Bagwell's push is over for now. 1 star, a dud. So to the Falls Count Anywhere match, the first on pay-per-view, as Sting takes on Cactus Jack. It is non-title. The announcers get across the gamble Sting is taking going into this non-title situation against the Wild Man in his own match, he having previously beat Van Hammer in a barn at a Clash of the Champions. Sting has the big title defense against Vader coming up in July. Also, Jack is waiting for Sting on the ramp, and they immediately go into a brawl straight from the off before Sting can even get his jacket off. Sting gets the first attempt at a pinfall with a backslide on the ramp, but just a 1 count. In an inventive swat, the champion reverse catapults Jack against the ring post, hard backdrop on the ramp, followed by a good looking faceplant on the ramp for a 2 count. Sting then takes an unnecessary risk, crashing and burning on a Stinger splash back into the ring, and Jack with the hard elbow drop to the back, off the apron, and the bang bang. He keeps the heat on the WCW champ with a swinging neckbreaker on the concrete, which would have taken something out of his neck, and then a unique sunset flip off the apron for 2, but Sting backdrops the madman into the crowd as the fight goes outside into the fans suplex. Jack is too quick off the mark for Sting with a swinging a wild clothesline which propels both men over in an insane bump, and the fight continues into ringside. Sting has the back and rib area tested as Jack nails him with a chair on the back before a body scissors back inside, testing the ribs injured by Van Vader. Sting buys himself some time with a backdrop on the concrete, but then Cactus Jack is able to sidestep a Stinger splash with a rough landing for the champ on the barricade. He connects with a pile driver outside, but doesn't really hit enough of it to have much of an effect on Sting, but he does connect with a double arm DDT on the ramp, but Sting is able to get the shoulder up just in the nick of time. Then has his ribs tested as Jack hooks on a body scissors, purposely testing the ribs which were injured by Van Vader, as he also rapes away at the face. The tide turns as the Wild Man misses a second elbow off the ropes. Sting out the way as he fights fire with the chair. We get a DDT on the ramp as we see running clothesline by Sting, who bounces back, and a nice springboard clothesline off the top onto the ramp for the 1, 2, 3. A wild and entertaining Falls Count Anywhere match. Maybe a bit tame compared to some matches that would come down the road, but nonetheless it was full of drama, and these two really gelled, made for a memorable match. So I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. Sting now has to face up to the challenge of his life against Big Van Vader. He puts the title on the line in July at the Great American Bash. So now that we've reached the halfway point of Beach Blast, let's take a look at what was in the cinemas in June 92.
I've been down here too long. It's time for me to ascend.
From the sewers of Gotham, a new villain emerges.
You didn't invite me, so I crashed!
From the rooftops of Gotham, the perfect enemy comes to life.
I am Catwoman. Hear me roar. Meow.
And the only one who can save this city is a creature of the night.
Hey, stud. I thought we had something together.
We do. While she craves a romance she can sink her claws into,
You're catnip to a girl like me.
he plots a foul reign of destruction.
My dear penguins, thanks to Batman, the time has come to punish all of Gotham!
You missed. Above Gotham looms its greatest hero.
It's time for the big 30-minute Iron Man challenge match, the big blow-off match to the vicious feud between reigning US heavyweight champion Ravishing Rick Rude and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. This one is non-title, and it's the one who scores the most falls in the 30-minute time limit. Poorly, dangerously, Medusa barred from ringside. It's going to be one-on-one as the Dragon brings out his entire family, which Jesse shits on. First of all, he thinks it's really puke-inducing, and then he accuses the Dragon of using his kid as an advantage against Rude, as Rude can't hit the Dragon until the kid has left the ring, and Ricky does get an upper hand before even disrobing. He hits the gut buster on Rude off the ropes as he then slings him across the ring by the arm. There's this theme of Rude still being able to pose with the one arm despite having hurt ribs and an arm throughout the match. Classic heel stuff, I love that. As Steamboat presses home the early edge, running shoulder block in the corner and a vicious blow to the ribs. Great selling by Rude, by the way, and we get a classic old school bear hug by Steamboat, honing in on the rib area with a shot to the ribs at one point. Rude able to break the contact for a while with a knee to the face out the corner. Steamboat knee into the back, whips the leg the wrong way before floating over into a classic Boston Crab. Rude barely survives. Big splash down on the back, but a rude knee out of the corner rolls, scoops up Steamboat, handful of tights, and steals the first fall. 22-18, so despite being on the defensive for the first 8 minutes, the US champ nicks the first fall out of the blue. Rude presses home the advantage a minute later with the Rude Awakening to go up 2 falls to 0. I don't mind this so much because it makes sense that he would pounce while Dragon was most vulnerable, getting the 2 fall lead. He then sacrifices a fall in a weird spot, knee off the top rope, which of course by the new rules, stupid new rules, is an off the top rope disqualification, but he immediately snatches a small package on Steamboat, so at 1948 Rude regains 2 fall advantage. Steamboat goes back to Rude's rib, but then telegraphs a head drop. Rude then applies a classic camel clutch to really put the heat on the Dragon. Of course, this has a 2-pronged effect because it means he can wear down the clock as well as Steamboat. We get a pattern of Rude holding on to his 2-fall advantage while still suffering ribs and an arm injury. He hits a smooth swinging neck breaker in the middle of the match and gets a 2 count on the Dragon, who survived. As Jesse points out, going 4-1 down at that point in the match could have sealed the match for Rude, so that could be a crucial kick out. 13-12, Rude hits a nice looking pile driver, which isn't enough to put Steamboat away, then goes for a tombstone, and in an awesome spot, Steamboat slides up Rude's back, using him as a ladder, and hits a tombstone pile driver of his own to regain a fall, so 3-2. And with less than 10 minutes left on the clock, Steamboat hooks a backslide and levels things up 3-3 as we enter an exciting last 10 minutes. Steamboat hits Rude's own Rude Awakening on him and probably would have gone up 4-3, except Rude was able to drape the foot across the bottom rope just before the 3 count. Dramatic stuff. The match kicks up into high gear now as Steamboat especially goes for a series of dramatic near falls, trying to get decisive pinning move, and eventually Rude has him in a sleeper hold for what seems like an eternity. Fantastic selling by the Dragon, who eventually does a Bret Hart from WrestleMania 8, kicking back off the turnbuckle, landing onto Rude, hooking him up, and with 34 seconds to go, Steamboat goes 4-3 up as Rude then goes nuts for the remaining 30 seconds with a variety of quick pin attempts with a running clothesline and a body block, but he just runs out of time. Steamboat holds on for a dramatic victory, 4-3, a wonderful, grueling Iron Man matchup. I'm going to go 4 stars on this one. With Steamboat's injuries and him sort of easing up a little bit going into tag team wrestling later in the year, this might legitimately be his last great singles feud. Next up, in case you've forgotten, we get the second round of the evening-long bikini contest, Missy versus Medusa, and the second round is the bathing suit. And let's just make it clear, Medusa steals this one. She comes out looking cool as fuck. A colourful biker jacket with Goldilocks hair and cool shades, a bandana, and a fantastic revealing blue swimsuit. She really is put together. By contrast, Missy comes out in a striking bright blue bikini. She's in fine shape, nice tan, but let's be clear, Medusa is the clear winner this round of the bikini contest. No matter what those morons in the crowd think. Of course, voting continues on the hotline. Next up, 6-man tag team action as the Dangerous Alliance trio of TV champions Stunning Steve Austin, Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton with Paulie Dangerously face off against the face team of the Natural Dustin Rhodes, Barry Windham and Nikita Koloff. New troubleshooting enforcer Ole Anderson is the referee, and it's a lively, solid enough match, but in a way it only exists to get across the new rules and Ole's role in trying to enforce them. So we get some hot action early between Windham and Austin as Windham hits a nice looking Japanese arm drag off second rope, I should say. Rhodes then picks up on Austin's arm with a nice drop kick as well. Eaton snatches a schoolboy but just gets 2 on Rhodes, and Arn instinctively goes to the top. He has Koloff waiting for him, but Ole warns him, if you go off you're gonna be DQ'd. Moments later, in one of the more grey areas of the new rules, Koloff Russian sickles Arn in the back of the head in an awkward looking spot. Arn goes flying outside, but Ole declares it's no DQ because his momentum propelled Arn over instead of actually being tossed over. This is a technicality which Jesse picks them up on. Jesse going nuts, grilling JR over that one. Windham takes a cheap shot from Arn on the outside of the ring, and they collide head to head coming out of the corner. Arn then hits an axe handle off the second rope, which is smart because again he would have been DQ'd if it was off the top. But then he catches a boot in the corner. A Windham sleeper is countered by a nice back suplex. Dustin gets the tag in and Rhodes heads into Eaton's corner as the heels tried to cut him off. A Dustin backside on Arn, but Bobby saves the pin. And Ross gives us an update on the bikini contest and the polls. Well, funnily enough, heel Medusa is said to be winning by 51% on the hotline. More on that later, of course. Bobby catches Rhodes with a short arm clothesline. He works over the arm. TV champ Austin tags in. He hits a nice flying clothesline which turns Dustin inside out, but Jesse complains about Ole's slow count and says there's been inconsistency with the counting for both sides. Rhodes is off target with a flying crossbody across the ring. He takes a pretty heavy bump on that one. He then rolls up Austin, but it's just a 2 count there. We get the classic stun gun on Rhodes, but the TV champ gets sloppy and allows Rhodes to reach his corner. Before long, all 6 men are in the ring. We get a full-on brawl, and Arn is caught coming off the top rope with the sickle to the gut, so that means it's no DQ because the move was intercepted. We get a superplex by Windham, looking good. He floats over into a cover, but Arn off the top rope with an axe handle to save his partner, but Ole catches it. Bit of a lame DQ in the end to a very solid match, just to show off the new rules. But there we go. I'm going to give this one 2.5 stars. JR says you can't accuse Ole of being biased because he disqualified a family member, that being Arn. Now, in running storyline, they were family members. They even teamed up in the 80s, early 90s. But in reality, despite looking a lot like each other, Ole and Arn Anderson are not related. A worn-out Steamboat is interviewed by Bischoff, and the Dragon lays claim for one more title shot against Rick Rude following his big Iron Man victory, but Steamboat is confronted by Paulie Dangerously, who says he has had his last shot at Rude's US title. The two get into a bit of a shoving type situation, but from behind, Cactus Jack attacks the Dragon, taking him off the ramp as the two brawl to the back. So it's become clear that Jack has been hired once again by the Dangerous Alliance to do their bidding, and I guess for the time being this transitions Ricky into a feud with Jack. So we return to the pantomime of the Jewel in the Sun bikini contest and the final round, which is the itsy bitsy teeny weeny bikini. Can't believe I'm saying that. Jesse joins Bad for the final round, and when he questions his manhood, Bad responds with, "Ooh, hush, Jesse. You're just jealous." Medusa comes out in a stunning looking western style cowgirl number, a bikini with cutaway jeans, and Jesse says it's all over now. But Missy, in a twist, can't come out because she's had her bikini stolen. They even show a brown envelope where the bikini was, and it's empty. Scandals ahoy, as Jessie once again says it's over. If she doesn't have a bikini, she can't enter the next stages. Missy steals Jessie's scarves from his head, and Bad makes a crack about how bald he is and how excited. He then comes out wearing Jessie's scarves as the bikini. I don't believe she managed to put that outfit together in that short amount of time. There's a bit with Bad about, hey, she can't come out like this, but yeah, it's the most awkward looking bikini. The crowd go kind of crazy. It's a decent pop, and Bad declares Missy the winner of the contest, even though it's meant to be decided by votes on the hotline. Medusa goes mad and starts slapping Bad, forces him back into the hut. Jesse says, "What are you doing to that woman in there, Bad?" He goes in after her, and in a moment which hasn't aged very well, the implication is he can see Medusa naked, and comes out, Medusa is the First Lady of WCW. Ross then says then the results will be announced tomorrow on the main event after all that. And we end with the WCW tag titles, the first time meeting of Dr. Death, Steve Williams and Terry Bam Bam Gordy as they challenged the Steiner brothers for the titles. WCW play up the US-Japan thing, even though they're not from Japan, the heels. It's played up than they are Japanese sympathizers who now reside in Japan. So yeah, a bit of a dated storyline, but unfortunately it's still the sort of thing they trot out today. Now this feels a little bit underwhelming after what has come before it, but it's still a notable match to end the show. I think personally the Iron Man should have been the main event. That's just me. We get a slow build up in the match, some like classic amateur style waist locks, wrist locks, as you get a feeling out process. We get a nice half Nelson by Scott after a single leg pickup. We then get a bit of a slapping match between Scott and Gordy as a classic style brawl. Scott takes him over in a double leg takedown as he puts some fists in. These two not afraid to stiffen it up. Williams then comes in and executes a nice waist lock, and it's into the corner, but then he blocks a waist lock by Scott and an attempted suplex. Doc and Rick then comes in, and JR mentions that they are former tag team partners as part of the Varsity Club, so nice bit of history there. And we get a belly to belly overhead by Rick, which does look good, and Doc decides to roll out of the ring to regroup with his tag team partner. Williams, with a couple of 3-point stance, does make a bit of a mark on the dog-faced gremlin, but a third is caught with a stiff Steiner line for a big pop, and Rick gets 2. Gordy nails Rick with a stacked back suplex, which did look good. He gets a near fall from that. We also get a Scott suplex. Gordy saves the pin on that one though, as Doc sends Rick over the top onto the ramp with a clothesline, and then an explosive shoulder block over the top nails Rick. That looked really good. Scott gets in a cheap shot on Doc from the outside, as Rick sends him over in a sunset flip with help from his brother Scott, and for some reason, even though the referee saw the contact, he only admonishes them afterwards with a warning. He still counts a 2 count, which was a bit weird. Gordy then a toss. He applies half a Boston Crab as we get the classic wrestling portion of the match as the heels really take control, pressing home the advantage, isolating Scott from his brother with some classic wrestling holds. Scott with a short comeback crossbody too, but Doc takes away the knee as the heels again ground it. Great final leg from Gordy. We get a classic Boston Crab by Doc, but he's a little bit sloppy, letting Rick get the tag in. We then get a nice stampede off the second rope power slam, but the referee tells Gordy you're the illegal man, no pin attempt. We then get a double shoulder block by the heels as Williams goes for his impressive stampede finisher, but Rick blocks the third attempt in the corner. Pair of Steiner lines on both, and Rick then tags in younger brother Scott, who takes on both heels with the time running down. Nice double underhook into a power slap or power bomb. He hits the Frankensteiner, but it's too late. The 30-minute time limit has expired, so the Steiners retain the tag team titles, and these two teams will face another day. I'm gonna give it 3 stars. It was a good match, but it wasn't a classic. It was a little bit slow at times, and again, I'm not sure it should have been the main event, but nice to see these two teams go at it. Overall, WCW Beach Blast 92 was a very good pay-per-view with a classic between the Dragon and Rude in the Iron Man, definitely my match of the night. I also really enjoyed Sting against Cactus Jack, that was unique for the era. The 6-man was pretty solid as well, ruined a little bit by the new rules and some it was just an excuse for that. The bikini contest was goofy fun, but it was drawn out a little bit too much, a little bit ridiculous, and they were plugging the hotline as much as it was. And the Steiners match definitely delivered. It was just a bit overlong and drawn out. And then you had some solid matches outside that. The light heavyweight title was mostly solid, although I had a problem with the outcome. And apart from Valentine against Bagwell, there wasn't really anything too bad, so I'm going to give Beach Blast 8 out of 10. A very strong pay-per-view overall and a good start to the new era in WCW. So let me know what you guys think of it in the comments below. Like and subscribe as always. Share me out on social media. I will share the link actually in the comments to the Win Twice podcast, because they are covering Beach Blast this week. They're reviewing it, so you can go and check out their reviews, their review as well as mine, and they're a really good wrestling podcast that you should check out, so I'll include that as well. But thanks for listening. I will return with more WCW 92 coming up soon on the channel. Take care, see you soon, keep watching old school wrestling.